Welcome back to Life, Love, and Real Estate. I am, of course, Daniel Palmer. So happy to be talking to you on this chilly December day. I'm joined, as always, by my much better pod half, LaCressa Morrow. LaCressa, how's it going?
It's going great. It's cold, and I just got back from Miami, so it was 80 degrees in Miami, 83, 82, and now I'm back in the 40s. Good times.
I remember
Welcome to
trips.
December.
I remember
Trips.
trips.
I know. It happens
Those,
when you don't have kids.
those were nice. Well, welcome back to Atlanta, where it is a bit chilly, and welcome back to the podcast for all of you guys who are joining us. Make sure you do me a huge favor. Subscribe wherever you're listening to it. iTunes, Spotify. If you're on YouTube, hi, I can see you too. Please subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. And we're excited to have you guys here today. We're excited to be wrapping up the year 2025. LaCressa, we just kind of did some math. I'm lying. Annie did math. But this is episode 19 this year.
I know. It's so wild. It's it was kind of a little bit of a pipe dream of mine for years, honestly. And I thought about it. And then it actually happened this year. So another little thing to add to the list of accomplishments for the year. Pretty cool.
Not just accomplishments. It's one of those things. I tell everyone this stat because no one believes me. The average podcast has less than 5 episodes.
Really? I know you say that and then I forget and then you say it again.
It's a level of desire and also the knowledge that I get something out of this. So selfishly, I like podcasting. It's something I've done for years. It's something I do a lot of because I like to talk, because otherwise Susan would be trapped with hearing me talk and no one wants that. So for me, it comes naturally. How has it been for you? How's the experience been so far? Just kind of having this on the calendar to talk and kind of get out of our day-to-day, at least for like 45 minutes a week.
I mean, I love talking about real estate, so that's pretty easy. I run my mouth pretty well. My mother always says. So it's been great. It's always surprising to me who tunes in. I mean, our audience is a little bit more familiar. It's people that we know. It's a small group of loyal folks, which is greatly appreciated. So it's when I was home recently, my aunt mentioned something that I had said, and my cousin mentioned something that we had talked about. And so that was super cool to know that people, besides your mom, listens to us on a regular basis. Your mom is super supportive.
Hi, Mom. I've enjoyed this. I really enjoyed doing it. I've enjoyed doing it with you. And it's kind of that time of year where we're in the kind of thankful, reflective era. I call it the Friday of months, which is December. But it really does feel like it's the time to kind of look back. Do you have any holiday traditions, or how does this time of year hit you usually?
Like a whirlwind. It always is like you're counting down to the holidays, and then they come, and then it's holy crap, it's here already, right? So Thanksgiving starts to feel like Christmas, and then Halloween feels like Thanksgiving, and it just is like a whirlwind for 60 days. So it feels great because people are happy and excited. It's been a rough year, I think. Not a horrible year, but just it's been a doozy of a year. So it's nice to reflect and to say that you made it through it and to have well wishes for the new year. So that's what that is for me.
See, that's such a good answer. That's such a well thought out, considered, I'm clearly grown as a person answer. Mine is normally, and I say normally, I guess this is my new normal.
It is.
I'm not a huge holidays guy. I love spending time with family. I love hanging out, but I love having lots and lots of responsibility, and it's acceptable to drink during the day a little bit. I like some of those things, but the actual the spirit had never hit me really. And now I've got this toddler.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And it's changed the way I look at everything. Mm-hmm. For example, I don't know why, I don't know how it happened, but Susan and I have been together 13 years. And we realized at some point that all the lights that we have for the trees and stuff are all white lights. I don't care. I never thought about it. And a string was dead this year. And Susan's like, I guess I gotta get some more lights. I go, get the colored lights. And you would have thought that I was I just cured cancer. You thought it was the level of excitement on her face. I was like, was I holding you back? I apologize, but I just never cared. And he only gets one childhood. And I think that's been the thing that's really kind of I'm also 40, so I think I'm having those middle-aged thoughts. But it's one of those things where
welcome to 40s.
Yeah. I'm responsible for how he'll hit 40. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm responsible for molding the childhood that he'll look back on, hopefully fondly. But like and it's exciting. It's a responsibility, but it's also an exciting one because I get to give the traditions that he'll subconsciously pass on to his kids. And so that's been really cool. There's one thing I do every year, and I may have talked about it on the show before. I buy him a record, one record a year every Christmas.
Oh,
So that whenever
cool.
he gets a certain age, I'm like, here's your record of things your dad thought was cool. And so, like, he's got Equipment Eye already. He's got Badu Unplugged. I can't remember the third one, but I've got the list here somewhere. But like, yeah, it's just they're unopened. They're not going to be touched until he says, or he starts like hitting an age where you get into music and stuff. I'll just hand him, give him a record player, hand him a stack, and be like, this is what you've been getting every Christmas. For years you didn't understand it, now you will. And that's
so cool. That sounds like a movie, like a rom-com, that someone did, and like all the little things that build up.
Don't say that, because that movie means I die when he's like 14. Like that's that movie.
Of course you would go there. So a couple of years ago, I got a Christmas tree because I love live Christmas trees and I love the smell of them.
Yeah.
And so it was alive, right? And so, Christmas is over and you're supposed to take your tree down New Year's, where I didn't take my tree down New Year's. I kept it up until probably like March or April, something like that, because it was still alive and it still smelled good. And then it started to turn like this burnt orange or whatever. And then I kept the tree.
LaCressa.
I did. Annie could second this. So I kept the tree, and then me and my sister put it up the next year. But then our friends were like really scared because they thought it was going to be a fire hazard.
It's a huge fire hazard.
Can't tell you how much I love my sister. My sister goes hard for me. So we decorated this old tree, this dead tree that was now this like cool fall kind of like burgundy. Orange color. My sister put lights on there. We put this sad like angel that was like, not this angel, sorry, a star that was like leaning over. My friends were like, do not plug it in. We plugged it in for like a good 30 minutes just so we could take pictures and stuff.
Yeah. So you did it.
Then the tree stayed for even longer, and then eventually someone threw it over the balcony and then took it to the dumpster.
I want to shake the hand of whoever stepped in and was like, this has to end.
It was always a conversation. Every time I would have like some kind of family dinner, they'd be like, you still got that damn tree. You still got that damn tree. We're going to get rid of the tree. And I'm like, whatever, you're not going to get rid of the tree. And then I went out of town and then the tree was gone.
What's kind of nice is that for a year, all the family updates where no one was asking about your personal life or work, it was, she still got that damn tree? Yep, she still got that damn tree. That's kind of nice, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, that's kind of a good buffer to have in our family. Like, just get the one defining thing. LaCressa and that damn tree. How's her job doing? I have no idea. Never asked, actually. She does have that tree.
I love that tree. That tree had a nice long lifespan, can I tell you? I just think it's sad that people buy trees and they cut them down and then they put it up for like a month and then they just toss it on the road. Like, that's just wrong. Anyway.
I was very much like, I cared about trees. Susan cares, that like helps me care more. We went and got this tree this weekend, and this little boy, it's Christmas. I'm like, what is happening? Who is brainwashing my child? Like, this isn't like, I'm so happy about it. Like, it brings the joy to me. It makes the season matter more for me. Like, I pick him up from daycare and I take a 15-minute extra loop to get home because he loves Christmas lights. And I know where there's some on that.
I love Christmas lights. I do. I want to go to the botanical gardens for the Christmas lights. I love them so much.
We found a neighborhood. It's not close, but one of the days he's not in daycare, we're going to go and try to take him over the holiday just so he'll lose his mind.
I love Christmas lights. That's so fun.
It's the best. It's the best. But no, this is the time of year where you get reflective. You got cocoa and it's not, you don't get snow down here, thank God, but like, you do get everything else. You get the cold. You get people kind of like planning out the next year, thinking about what's come before. And I want you, because we know each other pretty well, and I think our listeners have got a good idea about us. But we picked up a couple people in the last year who may not know us that well, and so I wanted to. Again, I'm a nerd, so Stan Lee used to say every comic is someone's first comic. So, LaCressa, I want to know your origin story, how you got started in real estate. And so kind of just walk us through that, because that's one thing I tell everyone. be it loan officer or real estate, our stories, our unique stories, are what separate us in the marketplace.
Absolutely.
Because no one, I take it back, having gone to coffee with was it Franklin and meeting with him tomorrow, some of us do know we want to do real estate from a very young age. He is a standout young man, but most of us didn't start our lives thinking, I want to be a loan officer, I want to be a real estate agent. It's a job or a career that finds us. So I kind of want to hear how it found you.
It found me over and over again. So I was a server. I worked in restaurants, and I worked in all kinds of restaurants and clubs and things. And I got into casual fine dining eventually. And then there was a broker, Shane Little, Avenue Realty, kept asking me to be a realtor. And I kept saying no. And then another restaurant, I'd see Shane again, probably like a year later or so. And he'd ask me again, and I said no. And then the third time he asked me, and then I said yes. Interesting enough, around the same time, I had friends and colleagues that I was serving with who were also getting their license. So I think it was a thing at that time. So that third time was kind of like, oh, this could be a thing. And then I had to figure out how it worked for me. I did my classes online back before all of these other schools, when people were mainly going to Barney Fletcher and they were going in person. I couldn't do that because I was a party of one. I had to wait tables. I was working doubles a lot. So I did mine through realestateexpress.com. And I immediately had a job before I had a license. I don't know. God has been really good to me.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Jane mentioning it 3 times. It's so funny and like unique when someone sees something that we don't see in ourselves yet. Like you were like, man, you tried whatever. And for it to break through when it did, because maybe the first few times maybe you weren't ready, but for it to finally break through, I love the way you started. It found me multiple times. That's fantastic.
It did. You know what's so interesting is that when you look back on your life, I mean, we're in our 40s, right? Or you're in the early part, I'm in the latter part. And you start to see like if there were clues there as to how you landed where you landed. I would say that when I think back on it, real estate was always something that I was curious about. I was always looking at land or looking at buildings and saying, ooh, if I had the money, I would do this, especially when I moved to Atlanta. And so I was just like, oh my God, if I had the money, I would do this with this. And then someone would have the money and they would do it. And then I would see something else. If I had the money, I would do that. And then luckily enough, they both converged. Me having an interest in it, but not thinking that it was a reality, to someone else seeing it as a reality for me. And then those two coming together. So it was pretty kismet. I also had to be open to saying yes. And I'm thankful that I did. I mean, it wasn't, and I also realized too, and then I'd love to tell youngins, is that saying yes now doesn't mean you have to say yes forever. I worked with Shane for a couple years. We still have a great relationship. I've moved on brokerages, but we still consult each other and acknowledge each other, and we still refer each other when it comes to different things and different situations. So he's been in my life for the last 20 years of me being in real estate, even though he wasn't my broker this whole 20 years. So yeah, I stumbled in.
That's all. I think that's really cool because there's no set path, and it's something I've seen when you work with your groups. For those who don't know, LaCressa also coaches a lot of the younger agents. She's literally someone who I use as an example, and I say, you got to give back to the thing that gives to you. You got to make sure you're pouring back into it. And so it's so, when you talk to them, I think it's so empowering when you share your story, because you said, like, I love what you said earlier, the path didn't look the same for you as it did for other people. You had to make it fit for your life, and you did, and you made a career out of it. For me, like, finding mortgages was an accident, I almost want to say. Like, it was one of those things where, as you say, you look back and you say, if you hadn't been not running from a destiny, or kind of the breadcrumbs are there. My father's a salesman. My mother's a lawyer. And so whether I knew it or not, I think that somewhere in there was always going to be something I was going to find. But I was a sports agent for a long time. And I worked at a startup here in Atlanta, and the startup, I got let go, and I was like, I need a day job so I can keep flying to California, convincing families to give me your child and give me their future. And I had a friend who had just become a loan officer, and he said, do you want to help process mortgages? And I said, what's a mortgage? And I went to First Option Mortgage, and I shadowed a guy for 2 days. And I said, I got in the job or whatever. And I said, this is pretty interesting. I think I can do this. He goes, think nothing. You're in charge of this branch now. Month end is Friday.
Oh, wow.
Week in mortgages, I had to process a month end. And so very much thrown in the deep end. But something that stuck out with me during the interview process was they asked me, are you sure you don't want to sell? And I was like, no, I need the 9 to 5 life. I'm trying to, and but every time I go interview somewhere else or leave a company or go somewhere else, it was, you sure you don't want to sell? And I was always like, oh, like security, the product, I always had. And we bought our first house after we got married. 7 years ago, we bought our first house. And I got to the closing table. It was a Tuesday. And we did all the paperwork, and I was terrified. And this is during the boom period. I'm processing like 40 loans a month. I know these documents inside and out. And I'm terrified, LaCressa. And I can't figure out what it was. And so that Tuesday we signed on the home. That Friday I took my licensing test. And I've been selling ever since because I was like, that was awful. This is a happy day. I shouldn't have felt that way.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, the message hits when it's personal sometimes. That was it for me. It was like, oh, it's not just the pull the levers, get a house. It is the emotional impact you're having on, and I'd seen it on other people, but having it hit me that way at the table when I've got more knowledge than most consumers doing the process.
Yeah.
Really hit home for me. It's something I was at an open house last weekend, and I just like, it's important that we always remember this is our job, but this is the largest financial transaction of someone's life that they're only going to do once or twice or maybe 3 times.
Right.
So it really, and I think I like this time of year because you do get reflective and it makes you think back to why you do what you do and how you got here. Like hearing you acknowledge the kismet of like, I guess, it was I always kind of had that, knowing you always had that inclination is so empowering because I always knew whatever I was going to do in my life, I wanted to help people. Like my favorite job I've ever had, I was a camp counselor for years. Loved it. It was awesome. You pour into the kids, you see immediate changes, you see growth over 2 weeks. It was very much satisfying in that way. And so when I found the sales side of mortgages, and I got to like my first few closings, and I always go to closings, or I always try to, watching this person who may have been not the kindest or happiest or easiest to get to the table, but when they're at the table, it's smiles, it's hugs, it's I didn't think this was possible. Or if it's refinance, it's, oh, you changed my life because you saved me X number of dollars or whatever, but you're able to have a positive impact on someone's life.
It's huge. It's so interesting because it's like I found my path in there, and then I did it with him for a little while, and then I moved on to a different brokerage, and then I stepped out of the industry for a while, and then someone else offered me a job, and I said yes, and then that led me to new construction, and so I would say saying yes is a big, huge part of it, or even just being open to a part of it. Right? Like you weren't fully open to the sales, but you were still open to the industry. Right. So if you have any kind of interest in something, an industry or whatever, say yes to the opening. You never know what it might lead to. And yeah, it's been great for me. It's worked out for me. I enjoy it. I love creating my own schedule, my own path, but I always didn't have that luxury, just like you were assigned to a bank. I was assigned to a site, and I was on site 5 days a week, pretty much every holiday I was working, kind of like when I was waiting tables. So you make some sacrifices when you get into this industry, for sure. And then you also figure out your path and your niche. So I think if you keep the faith and you continue to stay open to new opportunities and different types of opportunities, then you'll find your path, right? We stumble there. I've always been a windy path. I don't know about you. Sound like a straightforward kind of guy. Like when I say it out loud, it sounds that way. And like, now I've been a
It's never felt straightforward at all.
I've been
but
very windy.
Retrospectively, I'm like, that was in front of the other, but for a long time, it didn't feel that way. And it's super nice to know that like our industries are awesome, because at the end of the day, when we succeed, someone gets something positive in their life. And there's not a whole lot of industries that you can really say that about. You made the joke about the waiters. I always say that we're also in the service industry. Our pay is better, but our tips are worse. And
oh my gosh, it's the same emotion. Food and housing, food and money. My God, someone was asking me about that the other day, and they're like, "What is the difference?" I'm like, "Price point." If people are emotional about food, people are emotional about their money.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But it's the same kind of principles. It's still anticipating people's expectations, making sure that you're delivering the food on time in a reasonable manner, or the home and the process. I mean, it's the same plane. I think that's also why former industry folks, service industry folks, retail industry folks tend to make great lenders, great officers, because we're used to being on stage. We're used to reacting immediately and anticipating people's needs and freaking calming people down and talking them off the ledge. Honestly, there's a lot of talking off the ledge because it's emotional, food and money.
And it's so interesting as I'm like doing all the business planning and all the hard labor stuff for next year. It is reminding me of what we can do for people. I was talking about this before we started recording, but I have a friend who was like, "Oh, we're thinking about renewing our lease. Can you help us find rental properties?" I'm like, "I literally work with a bunch of real estate agents. Tell me what you're looking for. Let's talk about it." And as I was kind of doing the probing initial questions, I of course asked, "What are you paying a month?" And I told you what it was off air, and I'm not going to repeat it here, but it was a number high enough so I was like, "You're buying a house. We're not doing this. I refuse to let you rent at that rate again. Let's find you a house." And the entire way it's been, I can't, I won't, it won't work. And all I've done, like you said about the opportunity, was how about we try saying yes? What's the lose? Like, what do you lose in just saying yes and just supporting someone's vision? Because they're going to try to talk themselves out of it. That's what we do. Is we're scared of change. Change is inherently hard.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a beautiful thing about what we do. We help people to feel confident in their decisions. We help people to realize that their dream is an actual reality. That is really cool to see those light bulb moments, to see things work out. I just got a deal. Number one, let's just say at this because this is probably one of our big wrap up podcasts, that sellers are making deals right now because it's the end of the year. So let's go ahead and plug that out there. I have a client. I can't say this is going to be your situation, but I have a client who just got $12,000 in closing costs, which means that is $12,000 that they will not be bringing to the closing table, that they get to keep in their pocket because the seller would like to get rid of this home before the end of the year. So there is that. So even if you can't possibly close by the end of the year, you can definitely lock in some deals between now and the end of the year to get you into homeownership for January, but also will help these sellers clear their books and not have to pay another year of taxes, another year of insurance, another year of carrying costs. So there are deals being made. There are serious buyers out there. If that is you and it's an idea, then it can be a reality right now, and it'll be a better deal now than it is in January than it will be in February. Just putting that out there. But yes, there are people out there. It can happen. We found a couple different deals. Some of them were great, some of them not so great. We made it to the finish line. They pulled back and decided on a completely different home, sight unseen. And it was like, this is it. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So you also have to be willing to just roll with the punches and just have someone right there in your corner that's willing to help you navigate and steer in the direction that you want to go and that you say you want to end up. So it's a fun ride. It doesn't have to be scary.
I hadn't thought about it until you said it just now. I have 4 deals that are closing this month. They've all got maxed out seller concessions.
Yeah. Yeah, we shot a shot. We did. And we got it. And so, I mean, to be able to have that amount of savings in your pocket at the end of the year with everything else going on is tremendous. So, yeah, It's
like
a lot
I like this. If you can
happening.
pay your rent on time and reliably, you can pay a mortgage. It's our job to help you qualify and find the home that fits into your lifestyle. So I'm, like I said, I'm doing all the hard, like getting ready for 2026. And it's interesting because every year my industry tells you how low rates are going to get. And every year industry tells us how great the things are going to be. I will say this. We've seen a market improvement in both of our industries, I think, in the last 2 years. 2025 was not 2024, was not 2023. Yeah. And so based on that, I'm excited for almost the market to get used to the numbers you're seeing. So when I have my initial consultations with people, there's no reaction to, yeah, rates right now are the low sixes, mid sixes. There's no, it used to be, well, Lord, there's no pushback. And as the market's kind of adjusted to that, I've seen more and more people get excited about the prospect. I've had more and more people. I was at dinner with a friend on Saturday. We were drinking, watching the Georgia game. And he, for years, I don't think. And he brought it up to me. He's like, let's have you, me, and the wife sit down next week and figure out if we can, make this happen in the first quarter next year. That's whatever's fantastic. Happening in the marketplace, I'm happy that people are coming to that place of, hey, things aren't getting cheaper in the rental space.
No. I mean, I think there's just a stabilization of everything, right? Mm-hmm. Like we had to get over the hangover of the politics. I mean, let's be honest about that. But regardless of what side you're on, politics played a lot in this market this year. Just because not from the sense of housing, because rates have been around the 5s, the 6s, whatever. It jumped up a little bit, but it came back down. Supply is out there. So there definitely is inventory. The uneasiness has been employment. Am I going to have my job? Is my partner going to have their job? How long are their jobs? Can we talk about how many people didn't realize that they had government jobs, even though they didn't? They had a government job without knowing that they had a government job, And so there's been a lot of shakeup in that. So I think that with 26, I'm hoping to see that people are just feeling a little bit more stable in their lives. There were people who were searching for homes last year who end up losing their jobs. So it doesn't mean that homeownership is not on the horizon for them. It's just that they have to get resettled again and they have to rebuild again. And then so next summer might be a more opportune time because this summer didn't work out for those reasons. So I feel optimistic about 26 just being a little bit more mentally stable for all of us, all the way around, That mentally stable equals socioeconomically stable, and it just trickles on down. But our emotions have been all over the place this last year.
For sure.
Affects everything. So sometimes housing is the last thing you want to think about as long as you have a house to stay in right now. I can't even think about buying something else right now when things seem to be so unstable. So I'm looking for stability for people next year so that they can actually do the thing that they want to do.
And I think that's going to be kind of my target word for the year too, is we've done the upheaval thing. We've done the interesting times thing. Let's have some stability at the very least in the industries we are in, because there's a real opportunity, I think, because we've seen some of the opportunity in like a condo situation. People are decrying it. Oh, condos aren't appreciating at the same rate. That's an opportunity for someone to start their home ownership journey. Like you've never owned anything. That's a great way to start something to plan for your next 5 to 7 years. And I will say the one upside of kind of the upheaval has been I've been able to have deeper, longer conversations with clients who are taking a longer look at what their future looks like. To say, oh, yeah, we can go with chasing a rate right now, but what does that translate into? What does that actually mean? What are potential tax savings? Different things of that nature, and kind of making sure that people are more informed and proactive on what they can control in their lives. And I think that now that they're that things have settled down a little bit, that ability to educate is back. That ability to say, here's how we're going to build to a thing. I've had clients who I'm teaching them how to put themselves in position so that when March comes, they're ready to say, let's make offers. And those are the conversations I've been having the last 2-3 weeks, which have been really heartening for me, because these are people who have openly told me, oh, I was in the market and I got out, or I was thinking of buying a house, or I was about to be under contract. And it's people who have found a way back to the marketplace. And that for me is usually a good sign on there's hope out there. There's people understanding that the opportunity is not lost and that tomorrow is malleable by the work you put in today.
And I would also just reiterate that when you're ready to buy, when you want a home and you have the ability to buy a home, it's your time to buy a home. It doesn't matter what the rates are. It doesn't matter any of those things. If you want a home, we can get you into a home, right? And that is, and I love what you just said about control. That is one of the things that you can actually control. You can't control the 5% or the 10% increase every year in your rent. You cannot control your neighbors that are coming in and out of your apartment complex, which some are really cool, and then the next group is horrible. And now you have someone above your head. Whatever those things are, can't control that. But we can get you a monthly payment that you can control, you know, and for the most part, it's going to stay that way until your home starts to appreciate. And then you're going to see the positivity of that. You might have to pay a little bit more in taxes, but it also means that your home is appreciating, which allows you to cash in even more. And so you're going to have to give a little to get a little. So there is that, right? There is some sacrifice to be made in the sense of moving from being a renter to being a homeowner. And that's number one, both of us getting in your business and figuring out what works for you. And you being vulnerable enough to share your financial information, your financial history, your credit score, your banking statements, all of those things that we have to pry into, but only for a short period of time. And if you can just say yes to being vulnerable for a short period of time, at least you'll have some answers as to how soon you can make it a possibility. Is it a month from now or is it 6 months from now? You won't know until you say yes to being open to talking to someone like us. That's all it takes.
I don't know why I'm even here. This is the LaCressa show. That was amazing. That is exactly like if someone like explained this, I'd be like, just play that clip. That was it. That was the whole thing. Thank you for doing this today. Thank you for. I think it's really important that we talked about how we got into real estate because there is a conception of our industry that is purely transactional. But I think it's important that listeners and people find out that your lender, your real estate agent, we're business people. And we're people who have put time, effort, and a lot of energy into becoming really good at what we do and finding creative solutions to not just finding you the right house and the right loan, but making sure we approach both those things in the right way to ensure that your transaction, one, fits your lifestyle, but two, is memorable enough that you want to tell someone else about it. It's important that they understand how long we've been doing it, how long we've been around the block, because it helps us connect with our listeners and clients. Because when we tell them about their past, we're not just a salesperson who's chasing a check. We're people who made conscious efforts and decisions to be the best we can at what we do. And we're excited to share that expertise with you guys. And so we talked about that. We talked about kind of what we want to see next in the next year. And I want to kind of close with LaCressa. Do you have anything you're particularly thankful for last 365? My goodness, what a year.
There's so many wonderful things. Life has just been really interesting this year. Learned a lot about myself. I feel like I've grown a bit. I've learned to stand in my value. One of the things that I was really working on this year or for 25 was to build community and to really give the knowledge that I have in some way, shape, or form. And so this podcast is a different way of building community, and it's growing. And you and I have made connections, and the amount of stuff that we've done with these agents in order to help them build their careers. So that's been just really wonderful. Some really great trips. I married some folks this year, so that was cool.
Yeah, welcome to the club, LaCressa.
Yes. And then it's been a beautiful year. I've learned a lot and I've grown, and I'm just thankful. So how about you?
That's awesome. I am similarly thankful. Business-wise, I think that I've grown in my expertise at what I do a lot this year. I think that I've refined some of the things that I felt kind of came like, oh, that's just my personality. I've kind of standardized those things and make them replicable on a larger scale. And so I've been really excited with the last 6 months of growth for me personally. But I mean, every day I get to be that kid's dad is an utter gift. But I'm really thankful for everyone who reached out to us, who listens to this podcast. If you have given us 2 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours of your time this year, I really appreciate it. I know that you can listen to anything when you're getting through your day, when you're at the gym, when you're stuck in traffic. Maybe you're watching us. Hi, Mom, once again. But however you let us be part of your day, I want you to know that we don't take that lightly. We really do appreciate it. And again, selfishly, we hope you share us with as many people as you can. But also, I think that we're worth sharing. And if you're worth listening to us, and we appreciate you. And if you guys have any questions about any of these things, we're easy to find. As LaCressa would say, you can Google us, but we are here for you guys. We're excited for 2026 and excited to hopefully get one more of these things off. 20 and 2025 sounds like a really good round number to aim for.
I think 20 and 25 is going to be fantastic. And then we'll, give you some things to contemplate on and, think about your intentions. I'm an intentions person for the new year. I'm not a resolution, so I'd like to find words. So I'm curious for the next time around for our final episode of the year, what your words are for 26, if you have words. And if you don't
have words, I will. I have one of the things in 2025 tried to be more, you've rubbed off on me. And so I've tried to be more intentional about like planning out these things and approaching them in a certain concerted way. And so I will have words. I will have thoughts. I will have best wishes for the new year, but that'll be next time. That's called a tease, kids. LaCressa, tell them where they can find you.
LAC Sales ATL on Instagram, which will connect to my Facebook, LaCressa Morrow. So you can Google me, KW in town. Been there for 5 years. Will be there next year.
Check out DanielPaulMortgages.com. You can follow me on Instagram. Daniel Paul Mortgages there as well. If you guys have any questions about anything in the lending space, I'm here to be of service. But excited for another year in the books, excited for another podcast in the books, and excited to talk to you guys in just about 2 weeks. Have a great holiday season. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.